Hey everybody, good morning, good morning, good morning, great Wednesday morning. Yes, this is Wednesday morning, June 12th, the great year of 2024. And sure, it has been, let's see, since Sunday that I have issued a video of any kind. And it has been, let's see, since Sunday that I have issued a video of any kind. And the reason simply for that is everybody needs a break now and then. And I have had an unbroken string of releases of videos that stretches several years. And although I would say a year, because generally I'll take a day, do chores, do work, take meetings, and so on. And by the time the day is done, I'm pooped. So, hey, 60-second video, 30-second video, yeah, great idea. But then I just fall asleep, right? Zzz, and all that stuff. Okay. But now I'm back. And I really have to weigh in on this whole conversation that Damon Amendola and excuse me, that I Amendolara, not Amendola, Amendolara, that Damon Amendolara and Damon Bruce and Oakland Mayor Thao had a few days ago regarding Howard Terminal and the flood tide of untruths, lies, and misconceptions were just so gargantuan. I had to chime in and say, all right, time out on all of this. And when I reveal the smoking gun reason why, you'll say, oh my God. All right. You will say that if you know this project like the back of your hand and you followed it as long as I have or others, like, for example, Bleacher Dave. Uh, this needs to get out in the open. And that's why I'm making this video blog right now, this great Wednesday morning, June 12th. And because this information must simply be released. And as they say, cut the crap, right? Uh, that's my phone agreeing with me. Saying, yes, you're absolutely right, Zenny. Keep talking, keep talking, keep talking. So my phone is right here. At any rate, all right. One of the big claims that Mayor Thao makes is that the A's kept coming back to the table to ask for greater subsidy money. All right, folks, that is a 100% absolute lie. The Athletics never did that at all. In fact, the cost breakdowns were between the city estimating the offsite infrastructure cost and the Athletics estimating the on-site infrastructure cost, which they pegged at 369 million, and the city had theirs at over 400 million. Now, the latest evidence I have to prove my claim, because you would say, where did you get, how do you know that? Although I've said it again and again and again before, is none other than a city document that was released by Century Urban, the consultants they hired, April of 2023. Yeah, last year, which was and is the draft document to start a proposed enhanced infrastructure financing district of Howard Terminal. Now, if you're saying, wait a minute, they were supposed to do that way back in 2019 after California Governor Gavin Newsom signed SB 293 Skinner law, right, Zenny? And I would say, you're absolutely right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Because that was the intent. Yet the city slow poked around, hired a project manager who had no experience in California redevelopment. On top of that, we don't do California redevelopment. You have to have somebody like me who has that experience to be able to hire and steer you in the right direction. But hey, Shang met with me on Zoom on February 2nd of 2022 because she wanted to learn about two things: tax increment financing and enhanced infrastructure financing district. Then she was Oakland District Court Council member. But she gave me work to do after our 30-minute meeting. And then she also said, I want anyone to know we met. Well, why? Then she says, when I say, you know what you're asking me to do in terms of this tax increment revenue estimation is something I get paid to do. And she says, well, I have a consultant for that. Well, okay, so why are you meeting with me? She's never answered that question, okay? Ever. And if you're saying it's because she didn't want everyone to know that we met to begin with, I don't care. There's right and there's wrong. Because after that, she refused or didn't respond to my request for every single interview that I made, or I should rephrase that. She ignored every interview request I made for the rest of that year, 2022. And I thought, okay, so you're going to play it that way. I'm going to tell everybody absolute, clear, 100% truth about what happened. That's precisely what I did. She was actually banking on me to be silent about a meeting that occurred where she was basically asking me to do free work for her. Okay? Free work. All right? I guess under the idea that, well, I write them for my articles, so I can certainly do that for her. No. I am a trained expert in tax increment financing revenue calculations, whether she or anyone else likes it or not. I've done these calculations going all the way back to 1987 when I worked for the City of Oakland. And it was my first City of Oakland job as a hire. And I was an intern with the Oakland Redevelopment Agency in the old Office of Economic Development and Employment building, which is now the L.E.M. Harris State building. Anyway, I digress. So fast forward, okay, to where we are right now. And of course, like I said, have these folks on, and they managed to, for whatever reason, decide that they're going to have this video that they were talking about, this discussion, and they went on and on and on and on and on and launched the the typical stuff. All right. And all right, Artie Moss says the A's didn't walk away. Oakland raised the rent astronomically. That's right. And then he says the mayor didn't care about the A's. She just wants to pander to the A's fans for their support. Yeah, because she's in the middle of recall. But I wasn't going to do this, but I think I'm going to call on all. No, you know why? Because if I show even a clip of what they produce, that's a copyright claim violation. And I don't want to get into that with them since we're in the middle of this sort of ideological war, I guess. I offered on a number of occasions Damon Amendolara to come on my program or have me come on his program. We debate this issue. He has never responded, ever. They don't want to be in the room with an expert. Damon Bruce, I lost respect for a long time ago. Okay? A long time ago. And I don't want to get into a rabbit hole about that for another time. But my point is that the two of them do not understand this project at all. They don't understand development economics. And there are a lot of nuances here regarding the law that they completely miss. Max Maverick says, that was wrong of the Oakland mayor. Sorry they treat you like that, Z. Yeah, I am too, because I regarded her as a friend. But, you choose your friends wisely. And I have a lot of faith in people. So, unfortunately, my faith is violated far more often than not. But I continue to believe in the good of people. And I had no reason to believe that Shang would do what she did. But I also am quick to say, hey, you know what? I value what I have to bring to the table. And if you out of the blue contact me and want to meet with me, it shouldn't be for me to give you free information or to ask me to do something for you that takes an extensive amount of my time, and yet you don't want to pay for it, and then turn around and says, I have a consultant, which in her world means white guy. Okay? Because that's who she had as her consultant. And I don't mean just anyone. His name is Larry Cosma. From what I understand, a very nice person. I haven't met him in person yet. He does okay work, but look, I do great work. Nothing against Larry. But my point is that Shang had no business asking me to do work that she intended to then turn around. Think about this. Turn around and ask him to do. Well, I've got a consultant for that already. But then think about what you just asked me to do. Okay? She thought this wasn't going to even hit the news. But what do? Okay, right? I report the news as it happens in a vlog style. And then, by the way, I help you tell your story as you want it. That's what Zenny62 Media does. Enough said. All right. The other push that the mayor was advancing was, as I mentioned, and I'll mention before, is that is off-site versus on-site infrastructure costs. All right. Consistently saying that they were coming back to the table, begging for money, begging for subsidy. More subsidy. All right. Well, again, April 23rd, and here it is, folks, right here. Not that document, silly, but this document. Hold on a second. Let me change the window a little bit. So right here. And that document, and I have it right on page 7 of 52. And what you're looking at is specific wording, all right, page 9 of 52. And it reads, and I'm going to highlight it right here, off-site infrastructure. The city estimates, note, the City of Oakland, not the Athletics. And this was written by Century Urban last year. So can think about what I'm showing you, all right? This document was released into the wild, even though it was hard to find and search unless you happen to know what you're looking for. And I did, and I stumbled up on this beauty. And I thought, oh, I'll download it, okay? They had given this to the Athletic. The Athletic posted this. So someone with the City of Oakland gave this to the Athletic. But the Athletic didn't know what it was looking at, and so didn't actually publish the truth here. It was in their face, which just shows you the state of media today. All right? And also shows you the City of Oakland didn't want me to have this document, but they had no problem allowing a big white media organization to have it that they've heard of. They know who I am. All right? But I have it. Off-site infrastructure. And you say, well, what is this? What is this document? Okay. This document, I will take you right back up to the front, is entitled the Waterfront Ballpark District. Let me just see if I can get there by just doing one. There we go. Okay. And then going down. Oakland Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District, Waterfront Ballpark District at Howard Terminal. Yeah, this is the infrastructure financing plan draft, which means that the city was finally ready to build the tax increment financing district that they slowpoked around on since 2019. Only by the time this happened, guess what the Athletics were doing? In the middle of going through the preparation for, and then eventually the presentation of their plans for a Las Vegas ballpark, which were then later approved by the Nevada legislature just while this was brand new and no one saw it. Okay? No one saw it. No one saw it because the Athletics had decided back in 2021. No, in November, I called it. I said, "Hey, look, the A's need to go to Las Vegas. They're already going there and looking at land to purchase. They need to just simply get out of Oakland because this is going to take too long." And so here we are with this draft proposal to build an infrastructure financing plan. You would say, what is this? The infrastructure financing plan explains monies available and what you're going to use the monies for, sources and uses for a tax increment financing district of Howard Terminal. This is late, all right? But it lays out everything the city was actually doing, not the lies Shang was telling. And so it begs the question, did Shang, Shang had to know of this document, but it's quite clear to me that she didn't read it, and neither did her aides, and I'll bet they weren't briefed on the document by city staff. All right? Now, because you would say, all right, there's that problem. But if it's not, and you would say, why do I call that a problem? Because if they didn't do it that way, it means that they did do those briefings, but the mayor chose to leave that information out of anything she said and play her own political games. That's why I use the term problem. All right? It doesn't look good either way. Either you didn't, the mayor I'm talking about, put this information out there when you had it and knew what it was about, or you didn't see it at all. Okay? There's, like I said, either direction, the look is awful. All right? Either direction, look is awful. Now, let me take you back here to page 9 in this document. So that's 1, okay, at 9, and we'll go back to where I was here. Oops, excuse me. 9. Not, yeah, okay. Well, anyway, let's just scroll down because it's not, yeah, here we go. All right. All right, this is just up before where we were initially in this talk. All right, I'm going to enlarge this just a little bit so you can see it. It's quite important that you do. Okay, let's move that over. Right. All right. What does this read? It reads the total cost of the waterfront ballpark district project and related improvements. The waterfront ballpark district project developer, that's the A's, estimates the total cost of the waterfront ballpark district project will be $6.7 billion in 2023 dollars. And that amount includes $5.7 billion for the private elements of the project, including the proposed baseball stadium, $369 million for on-site. Listen to this: $369 million for on-site public infrastructure and parks and open space improvements, $50 million for greenhouse gas measures, $482 million for off-site public infrastructure. Now we'll get to that in a second. $41 million of eligible on-site affordable housing costs and $50 million for off-site affordable housing costs. Then funding sources. All right. And you scroll down here and it reads that this is the on-site public infrastructure that I mentioned. All right. Saying that the project developer will pay for those costs and the EIFD will provide financing for those costs to the extent the available project tax increment is there in accordance with the acquisition and financing agreement. And the obligation to provide financing for on-site public infrastructure and parks and open space improvements to the extent available project tax increment is available constitutes debt under the EIFD law. Now, if we scroll down to off-site public infrastructure, this reads in black and white, the city estimates, not the developer. This is Century Urban writing this. They have done a very good job of differentiating between the costs that the Athletics estimated and the City of Oakland estimated. So it reads here, the city estimates that the offsite infrastructure will cost approximately $482 million. All right. That's in 2023 dollars. And then it says the city anticipates commencing construction for that in 2026 and is assuming that the $482 million cost in 2023 dollars will go by 6% of each calendar year, resulting in a total cost of $573 million in 2026 dollars. And it's identified the following capital sources, okay? And you would say, oh, this is all well and good, but this is not enough to pay for, that amount when you consider the 500 million north of
glad to be of help
costs. Stop, Siri. And so get this. What this document reveals, however, is where the money is really going to come from that allows the project to be paid for. And it's something that the city has never mentioned. You know what it's called? A subsidy. Now, to frame this properly, back in 2021, during the city's live broadcast with the County of Alameda, I called then Oakland Councilman Lauren Taylor. I told him the subsidy was going to be about $1.6 billion total. He disputed my amount, said it's going to be $400 million. I said, it's not $400 million. Lauren, it's not. I said, Lauren, I've done this since 1937, for 37 years, all right? So, yada, 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 yada. He goes on with this, claim, yada, yada, yada. And so, remember, this document was released, I'm scrolling through, was released last year. Okay, folks? Hold on a second, RD, I'll get to your comment. Last year, all right? Last year. I'm going to repeat. Last year, okay? The reason why I keep saying that is that the subsidy, the total tax increment revenue that the city estimates to collect and then form into a bond issue is $1.8 billion. Yes, you heard me. $1.8 billion. And you're going to say, Zenny, where does it say that? And I'm going to say, that's why I'm scrolling down, because I'm going to show you, all right, exactly where it says that. And then a projection of EIFD tax revenues by year. And they're going to give you this full ledger. And it discusses that the city's, it says after deducting the EIFD's estimated allocable share of RED obligations, which includes existing debt service, required pass-throughs and administrative costs, approximately $2.5 billion of net available revenue is projected to be allocated to the EIFD over the terms of the project areas. So okay, it's north of 1.8 billion. It's $2.5 billion. $2.5 billion, folks, and it's 2 billion. I'll have to repeat this: $2.5 Or anyway, as I was saying, folks, that's right here. All right. It is right here. 2 billion. I'm going to write this, folks. 2.5 billion. That is the actual tax increment financing revenue the city expected to collect for Howard Terminal. All right, right there. And yet they didn't explain the breakdown. Note, they gave us the $6.7 billion assessed value, right? Well, do you realize that $6.7 billion in assessed value would yield tax increment revenue far greater than $2,500,000,000. The only way to justify such a low estimate as Century Urban coughed up is if you are actually doing just a 2% increase. And Century Urban, in their work, which I do not like the way they do their work, I believe their work is shoddy, is because they do not spell out clear as a bell what their assumptions are. You have to back estimate where they came from, and you think, my God, these are low assumptions, and they do that a lot. Now, Larry Cosmo, by contrast, will base his estimates on the historic rate of growth in assessed value in the area, and then attach that estimate to his calculation. And that's the way you do it, because the historic rate of growth in assessed value for Jack London Square area, including Howard Terminal, has been just north of 6%. All right, and that's the safe estimate. You can go as high as 7% or 8% if you want, but 6.3% is the right estimate, and that yields you a substantial load of money when you're talking about a 45-year tax revenue collection, or tax increment financing revenue production period, where you're taking property taxes that normally are scattered to the different four winds of the City of Oakland, the County of Alameda, BART, AC Transit, and the Flood Control District. That's 5 winds, if you will. But all that goes to what we now call the Public Financing Authority, and that we used to call Redevelopment Agency, and they collect that revenue generally to retire bond issues. Sometimes it's pay as you go, but in this case, it's a little bit of both. So, but again, the bottom line is that these revenues have never been presented to the public. I asked for permission to give a presentation to a group of people at Nikki Fortunato's 2020 town hall on Howard Terminal, held November 20th of that, November 4th of that year. I have the video because I interviewed her, but I digress. They did not want me to explain to the public how tax increment financing works and what the revenue throw-off expectations would be. Okay? And you didn't have anybody else in the room who knew how to do it. It was a big room. City staff was there. Rick DeSilva was there, my buddy. But, and Carl Chan, God love him, he's a great friend of mine, just interviewed him recently, said, no, Zenny, we don't want that right now. Why? Why? Okay? The things that make you go, as Arsenio Hall would say, all right? But these numbers are huge, folks. All right? So they make all this noise about not being able to subsidize for the project and having to go. Remember, Shang was saying we can get it through grants, we can go to Congress rather than focusing on enhanced infrastructure financing districts and tax increment financing. This is ironclad proof that that's not true. Ironclad. All right. Now, Mark says it costs more to build a Howard Terminal, or is the A's new ballpark in Las Vegas going to cost more? Just curious. Howard Terminal as a ballpark is basically the same amount. Well, it's going to be a little bit less in Las Vegas because the construction costs are, but the city has really gotten on this game. And this is something else that came up in the interview between the mayor and the two Damons. They say, that they're trying to do all of this at once. Well, that's not true, because if you look at other consulting documents and you talk to the Athletics or you listen to my interview with Dave Kaval, the intent was always to build the project in phases. So you could say, look, I'll build the ballpark right now. I'll build the event center right now. In fact, the Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf said that to me in an interview. Ballpark and event center first. So that's going to get you $2 billion in assessed value. All right, assuming those are privately owned, and that was the idea. But 6.7 billion that was coming down the road. So here comes Oakland District, Oakland at Large Councilman Rebecca Kaplan and friend, who says, "Well, they're going to want to build it all at once." And I said, "Rebecca, that's not true. Why say that?" And they're trying to make everything look bigger than it is. Like, oh, they're going to build this expensive thing, and but then in Las Vegas they're just going to build a ballpark, and that's not true. Okay, that's not true. All right. So RD says, I was looking forward to your video on the latest conspiracy theory about the A's being available for promotional events outside the home ballpark. It didn't affect the Dodgers Field of Dreams. Oh, I do have a video that's ready to go on that. Hold on 1 second, folks. One second. Okay, folks, it's getting hot in here. Let's turn on the air conditioner. At any rate, RD, I'm going to talk about that right now, but again, not long. The brief also is that you got to read SB 509, what we now call Senate Bill 1, because it specifically states, all right, first of all, here's the problem. A number of people, including some people in Las Vegas, you wouldn't think didn't know this, all right, believe that the sports and entertainment district is the ballpark. If you read SB 509, Section 28, and then same for Senate Bill 1 for 2023, okay, it will tell you in black and white that the sports and entertainment district consists of the land that includes the Major League Baseball park or stadium, as some would call it. And also it uses the term adjacent properties that are necessary for the operation of the ballpark. Now, they don't have any definition of what that is. So you search around on Google or your favorite search engine, you discover that it's all over the place, the meaning. So let's say that for the purpose of the athletics ballpark, it could mean a giant entry pavilion, which also has as part of it a giant screen where you, the baseball fan, who might be in town for some other, convention or whatever, but wants to take in an A's game, goes and you can realize you can watch the game on the outside, from this big screen and take it in. And of course, you'd love to have a ticket, but maybe you got there late or whatever, but you're willing to sit down and buy a great meal and your favorite beverage or meet your friends there, and it becomes this outdoor party, right? Something like Texas Live, which is what is in Arlington next to Texas Rangers ballpark, right? So do you realize that Texas Live pulled in $30 million last year? So if the bond issue for the Athletics is only $120 million, and it's a 30-year payback, when you take that $120 million and you multiply it times 1.516, which gives you the bond cost. Okay, that comes out to 187 million dollars. Technically 187.2 million. And then you amortize that over 30 years and you get your $6.4 million annually. That is a tiny debt service. The facility that I talked to you about that's connected to the ballpark, but it's like an entry area, a giant one, kind of like Giants ballpark. You go to 24, the Willie Mays restaurant on the outside, all that stuff, something like that, right? But bigger, all right? You could have that. And so if you have that on the outside, it makes the functions of the ballpark year round, and you don't have to be inside the ballpark spending money to help generate money that then goes to pay down the $120 million bond issue. You understand what I'm saying? All right? But Jeremy Koo messed all that up because he was intent on proving them wrong. He wasn't intent on understanding legislation. He was intent on proving them wrong. There's a big difference. Read your legislation, folks. I say that to everybody. Read, because a lot of people don't read. And then they come up with their ideas because this is a group thing now. Everybody wants to be part of a little group. Oh, they want to go to the parties and they want to have the drinks and all that sort of thing at the Coliseum, but they don't want to really understand what it is that caused us to be in this situation in detail. They don't want to understand, especially the math behind development economics. Jeremy Koo has no background in development economics. He isn't even, as an attorney, specialized in land use issues. So, yeah, he believes that he can come in and by his brain make an argument. But just because he has people out there like John Ralston of the Nevada Independent, who owns it, hates the idea of a ballpark. He said so. But see, his bias is never repeated in their articles, right? I mean, what I'm saying is he doesn't have this, notation that says, hey, by the way, it's important that you know that the publisher dislikes this project. All right? At least Vital Vegas Scott Robertson is semi-honest about where he's coming from because he has gambling interests, friends who are paying him, who are paying him on the basis of his dislike for the ballpark. Why? Because he believes that gambling should be the focus. But people have forgotten, including Scott, that you know what? The days of Las Vegas being the only place to gamble are long gone. Now, you can find a place to gamble within an hour's drive of your house anywhere in the United States, okay? Anywhere in the United States. Anywhere, all right? But I want to bring you back to this. And before I close, I want to make sure this hits home right here, all right? The amount of money that this was going to bring in is actually, and it's right here, $2.5 billion. Okay? All right? The city anticipates allocating net available revenue to the EIFD approximately fiscal year 2039 to 40 based on the expected duration of the tax district after deducting the EIFD's estimated allocable share of RD obligations, which includes existing debt service, required pass-throughs, and administrative costs. Approximately $2.5 billion of net available revenue is projected to be allocated to the EIFD over the terms of the project areas. Okay, so that actually, when you think about it, they did include in their tax increment revenue estimate the throw-off for the total $6.7 billion. Otherwise, there wouldn't be this net available revenue of $2.5 billion. That's huge. That's huge. Okay? None of this was communicated to the public. Okay? None of it was communicated to the public. All right? And here's the breakdown of revenues right here. And what they've got right here is property tax increment. Well, they have 1% general levy, but they don't explain what the rate of growth in assessed value is. They have the tax increment, the incremental assessed value, right? The city share of it, county share, at least total taxes allocated right here to the enhanced infrastructure financing district. But and the way that they have this here is also questionable. Their numbers don't line up because they say 452 million, and yet this is the numbers they talk about in their text are far greater. Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? That's project area 1. Got to read carefully, Zenny. Got to read carefully, okay? So project area 1, project area 2, all right? And then they add them all together to get the numbers. Like here's project area 3, and so on, all right? Project area 4. There are a number of project areas where they've estimated these tax increment revenues for each of these project areas that will consist of privately financed structures by other developers. Because I know Dave Kaval told me in our interview we did 2 years ago that they wanted developer partners. That was the idea, okay? There's table 4, all right? And so they have project area 10. So they have 10 project areas represented in this calculation. 10 project areas. 12 project areas. All right. 13 project areas. Care to try for 14? Well, there's 14. All right. Care to try for 15? Well, there's 15. Okay? Care to try for 16? Well, there's 16. All right? And as you can see, the numbers get smaller. There's 17. And care to try for 18? Well, no. That's where it stops. Okay? But it says the Public Financing Authority intends to issue bonds as provided in the EIFD law, and such bonds may be taxable or tax exempt, may be current interest bonds, capital appreciation bonds, fixed rate or variable rate. And they talk about that. And then they say that approximately $1 billion of bond proceeds is estimated to be available to finance off-site affordable housing costs. So there's your subsidy. $1 billion of bond proceeds for off-site infrastructure, on-site public infrastructure, parks, and open space. So the city was prepared to spend $1 billion, boom, like that. This is all laid out here, released. All right? Okay? All right? And then Lauren Taylor told me that my estimate was wrong. Remember I told you that? Okay? Because the A's also said, hey, look, we're going to spend $12 billion. Well, if they used an estimate for $12 billion, they're looking at a tax increment revenue stream of $9.7 billion. So we're getting to the truth here with these numbers. Finally, after all these years. Seriously, this was absolutely ridiculous. All right? I'm going to make a separate video just announcing this. But you all need to scream this stuff to the rafters, man. Okay? The city's been, and the mayor, they've been pulling a fast one on you. They haven't told you the truth. All right? They're giving you a pack of lies, and that's precisely what it is. Some one of them knew these numbers were out there, and they should have made, again, this is terrible, they should have either briefed the mayor, and it's bad if they didn't, or if they did brief the mayor, then they had to, and I would love to see the memos, the emails that passed around, would just be a fly on the wall in the conversation when they got to the point where they said, we don't want the public to know about this. Because the obvious question is, why? To prove that you actually could do the project? Or maybe because you're afraid that this is beyond you all. and you didn't want to do it. Do you realize this is enough money to actually pay contractually with the city for certain services to be done, thereby countering the deficit? Do you realize the city is clocking in at a deficit of 175 million? Do you realize that this could have cleared the deficit like that? Okay? Off one parcel of land that's 55 acres in size, not bigger. Are you listening to? Are you paying attention to me here? Okay? Spread this news around. If you don't, God's gonna get you, because God's gonna see you as the devil. Rightly so. There's been a lot of evil going on with this project, folks. All right. I'm done. Live long and prosper in your world. I'll be back. Or as Otto would say, I'll be back. Yeah. Hey, and by the way, like and subscribe this, please. Like and subscribe. Give a thumbs up. It'd be very nice if you did. Thank you. See you later. Today. Really?